The Downtown Association hosted their annual Moonlight Magic event last night from 6 to 11 to kick off the holiday season. A mild night compared to the weather we've been having. Attendees bundled up for a magical evening of holiday cheer and shopping local. Stores on Queen Street were open for late night shopping, offering great deals and discounts. The hot chocolate competition kept Suites warm as they shopped, caroled, and snacked their way down our beautifully decorated downtown. The perfect way to ring in the beginning of the festive season. At 7 o'clock, Mayor Christian Provenzano lit the magnificently decorated community Christmas tree on the courthouse lawn.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Minister for Seniors, the Honourable Philomena Tassi, stopped at the Ontario Finnish Rest Home yesterday afternoon as part of her cross-Canada tour to talk to seniors and find out what their biggest concerns are and what the government can do to make the aging process easier. OnTV was there and spoke to her about her endeavour.
Great feedback. Income security is one that comes up pretty regularly, affordable housing, and also the appropriate care. So ensuring that housing is available, whether it's assisted living rate to long-term care, to ensuring that seniors have the place that they need to be in available to them. And then other areas are isolation. Many seniors facing that, and so we want seniors to be engaged and interacting in communities, access to home care and health care. Now this does cross over provincial jurisdiction, but it's an area of concern. And also elder abuse and elder fraud, hearing that as well.
The Ontario government says it has cut the deficit by $500 million, bringing the figure down to $14.5 billion.
We understand that the Liberal mismanagement, waste, and scandals, incidentally, have left us with a $15 billion deficit. We have been working very, very diligently to be able to save the people of Ontario without any job cuts. $3.2 billion in efficiencies since we were first elected, and we have also returned $2.7 billion in savings back to families, which is a net savings of $500 million. We were able to lower the deficit by $500 million in just a few weeks.
Meanwhile, Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath is accusing the Progressive Conservatives of cutting things that families count on.
Doug Ford making $3.2 billion in cuts to the things that families count on, and with ominous warnings about the future of universal health care in Ontario, we see even more clearly what his priorities are. Mr. Ford is removing rent controls for new units in the middle of a housing crisis. He is making it even harder for Ontario families to find affordable, quality housing. Doug Ford has made it very clear that he won't give working people a $15 minimum wage that would make their lives better, but he is more than happy to give millions of dollars in tax breaks to the highest income earners in our province. Mr. Ford is making his backroom government even less transparent by axing vital, independent watchdogs, the Child and Youth Advocate, the Environmental Commissioner, and the French Language Services Commissioner. And Mr. Ford has ripped nearly $1 billion in funding away from the most vulnerable Ontarians, with deep funding cuts to the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services.
More buses of exhausted people in a caravan of Central American asylum seekers reached the U.S. border yesterday as migrants crowded Tijuana streets and looked on as officials fortified the border with razor wire and heavily armed agents stood guard. With U.S. border inspectors at the main crossing into San Diego processing only about 100 asylum claims a day, it could take weeks, if not months, to process the thousands thousands in the caravan that departed from Honduras more than a month ago. Tijuana's robust network of shelters was already stretched to the limit, having squeezed in double their capacity or more as families slept on the floor on mats and gathered on streets. Others endured the evening chill to sleep at an oceanfront park with a view of San Diego office towers and heavily armed U.S. Border Patrol agents on the other side of a steel fence. To claim asylum in San Diego, migrants enter their names in a tattered notebook held together by duct tape. Yesterday, migrants who registered 6 weeks ago were getting their names called. The waiting list has grown to more than 3,000 names now, and it stands to become much longer with the caravans. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has deployed some 5,800 military troops to borders in Texas, Arizona, and California. Florida's battle for the U.S. Senate is headed to a legally required hand recount. The recount so far has been fraught with problems. One large Democratic stronghold in South Florida was unable to finish its machine recount by yesterday's deadline due to machines breaking down. A federal judge rejected a request to extend the recount deadline.
Given probably 3 or 4 more hours, we might have made the time. We were trying to match up our tally types. They were matching up exactly, but the time timed us out. So it was a heroic effort, and we just completed uploading our Saturday results as is required in law. The hand recount consists of, we ran all of our ballots through the scanners, and you glean your undervotes and your overvotes. An undervote is they didn't vote in that race, and an overvote is they voted for too many candidates. You were here, you watched it happen, and our machines failed because we were using them 24/7, and I think it was extraordinary. And so if the judge will allow us, we'd like to continue to do the other recounts, but certainly we cannot operate these machines for 24/7 because that's why they probably